be honoring Mark. And I want to just tell you...
Can we bring Mark up here so we know what Mark looks like? Okay. Mark, get up here, please.
Okay.
He got dressed up for his own affair here, his own party, and then he's going to a wedding.
See? And then
He looks handsome.
he looks handsome. And not only that, he got laid.
Red, white, and blue laid.
Yes, by the mayor. It could,
Oh my God.
And if I had known, I might have considered this a John Zielinski day. But what can I say? Anyway, I want to tell you the reason why we're honoring Mark is because of his inspiration for our butterfly trail, which has been a godsend to us, to the people who walk their dogs, to the families who use it, to the veterans who come and sit, and to each of us as a uniting force. I love Mark very deeply, and he really helps and inspires me, and I love the work he does with nature. And so I'm just telling you the reason why it's Mark DeCracker Day today. I meant to tell a little history to people from Brighton, is that I went walking on our peninsula and saw that it was such a beautiful place, and I invited the Dices and the Shriners and Nancy and I think and the trip out Maryland was involved, and we started planting flowers because we wanted it to be a garden. And Mark said, "Well, make it a trail," and he said, "Tell the people to come and just mow it here, and they can start walking and whatnot." And Marcy and Joan said, "No, we better wait for the state," which we did, so we wouldn't get into trouble, and therefore we have. And please walk the trail. It's only 15 minutes, and you'll see how sacred it is. And this is our mayor who's going to begin our.
And I wanted to elaborate on that because it was so. Thank you, John. I wanted to elaborate on that because John, I go down to the bookstore before I became mayor, and he's like, "Oh, you got to check out this place. We got this trail." And I thought, "Oh my God, John, we got enough on our plate, as Massive Village Pride Committee." And so he kept on after me, and I said, "John, show me where you're talking about, please." So he brought me down there, and then I could see what him and Mark were talking about. I could visualize what was going to happen, and I have to tell you, if it wasn't for Mark meeting, John at Books, etc., and then John being an integral part of Macedon Village Pride, this wouldn't be happening. And then what the best part has happened is that the community has embraced this. And that trail is because of all the private donations that has occurred from the businesses. They had utilized their equipment, their staff. They didn't charge us anything. They saw the value. They saw what the potential and how this place was so underutilized. And so they wanted to help us. And this day and age, everybody is so busy in their lives. So for them to do that, that is a big, huge thing. The other thing is that the benches that are there, they're memorial benches. So we have them for people to remember their families, but also when you're down there, it's a nice nature therapy trail where when you're seeing the families, it kind of reminds you of your people too, okay? So it kind of brings that connection. There's also 2 benches that are dedicated to the armed forces. And so that's nice. And it's closer up here so you don't have to walk as far. The other best part is it's accessible for, it's handicap accessible, so therefore you can go on your scooter. There's no motorized vehicles, but the scooters are fine. You can use your, walkers that go down there. So many people use that. We actually just found out, because we partnered with Trailworks, which, because I met Mark, that has helped us tremendously, because that's where a lot of the businesses and the private donations came through, because we were able to use them as a 501c3 and then bring this all together, and now we're promoting it all. So it's not just one community that is being recognized, it's all the communities in Wayne County that have trails. And we're on the passport, which is a great thing. Trail of Hope is like a godsend. Actually, Mark just said something. Was that the Secor lumber that they donated?
Secor, yeah.
Oh my God, Secor lumber donated this piece of plywood, and it is gorgeous. Mark had just done it. And it's, you know, like you have when you're a painter, you have like all your paint dots, you know, it's like that shape, you know, it's not like a heart, but you know, like that painter's thing. What's it called?
Palette.
Yeah, palette, thank you very much. So it's shaped like a palette, and then what it is it has like colors of the different paints, and then within it are the flower pots to match it, and then it's the first thing that you see, I'm sure, is the way you first go. So it was beautiful, and I'm sure you got that through the children helped you and all that. It's knowing you always involve the children in the community. So I'm grateful that we have a place here, but also to be able to promote other communities in Wayne County. I'm very grateful that we do have Mark DeCracker. He is so hardworking. I don't know if when he has time to sleep. I don't even know if he sees his phone. And but. You always wonder if you make a difference in people's lives, and Mark has definitely made a difference in people's lives. He has shown us all that you don't need a lot of money to do great things in life. And I just had come across a poem or a quote yesterday that kind of reminded me of him, and it reminded us all that the success is not measured by the positions that you hold. It's what you have done to make a difference. So for you, you're very successful.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you, I asked Seth to say something about his father-in-law because he knows so much, maybe things we don't even want to know about.
But now Mark, okay, excuse me. Okay, Mark, well, a couple things. Mark is videotaping, so when he has this on YouTube, nobody's going to know who Mark DeCracker is. Would you please get up here?
Oh.
Yeah, that would be very nice. We need to see who the person is behind the... And I also wanted to let you know is Mark has inspired us to make different things for the trail. And what we have now is Jakarta's Way, and it's the Peace Queen. So next to the archway, you're going to be seeing Jakarta's Way, which is the Peace Queen. And there's going to be a saying on there. What it is the eternal witness is who this person is going to be. Long, long ago, there lived a Peace Queen. Her presence continually resided in the hearts of the people, and many nations were united because of her sincere efforts to make a difference. In August of 2013, our Butterfly Nature Trail was blessed by her spiritual appearance. We have called her Jakarta's Way. Again, we assemble as a people of peace. Let it continue to be so. And that is going to be on there. So I'd like to thank Caroline Dice and Richard Dice for helping us with this. The Village of Macedon would like to recognize a Certificate of Recognition for the Mark DeCracker Day. It's official, man! Hereby granted to Mark DeCracker for his lasting contributions in making the Village of Macedon and other Wayne County communities a better community to live in. Awarded June 28, 2014.
Thank you.
And I promise to be official too. Thank you.
Seth, we got to move along.
Okay.
We want people to tell stories, and we want to hear everything.
Oh, we got two people first.
Okay.
So a few words about Mark. One, to start with, Mark's a champion for community here. Whatever that means, community amongst people, whether it's a specific local community or something bigger than that. And admittedly, and I think Mark would definitely say this too, that we are lucky to have kind of a circle of champions for community and where we live. Something that to me helps me kind of differentiate something that's different about Mark is I kind of think of him a little bit of as a cheerleader for a community.
Yes.
Because what he brings and what he does is everyone here who knows, because there are a lot of people here who are always making an effort and showing up in all the same places and seeing a lot of the same faces. What Mark brings is kind of that re-energizing angle when everyone else is getting tired out. You know, he always points to, well, you got to keep going. There's the next thing. Look at the bright side. Or let's go look at the wildflowers and remind ourselves that, you know, things aren't as difficult as they seem. So a few things about the cheerleader. A lot of things have been hit on recently about various impacts He's had right here on the canal, and then how the butterfly trail has come about, and Macedon, the local stewards are really taking off with it. But Mark's been doing this for a really long time. And one of the interesting things is that Mark, now having been retired for a few years, really doesn't look like any different than the Mark before he was retired. One of the things I quickly found interesting when I came in to be a part of the DeCracker family was that a lot of people had no idea what Mark did for a full-time career. And in fact, once they found out, it totally baffled them that in fact he spent 40 plus hours a week doing something that they had no idea about, recreational therapist for 30 years with the state. So it's very interesting to me that over time you could spend a whole career and people are just seeing you everywhere and all over the place, and having such an influence across the board. So a few things that Mark's done, and I know John said, make it short too. But some of the interesting things that Mark's done in the past, he helped to create the Nordic Pines cross-country skiing center in Newark back in the 70s, which is really interesting to me. And in fact, of course, because it's Mark, there was a brochure about it, because when you run into Mark, he'll start on one brochure. By the time you walk away, you've got 15 different brochures about different programs, and got to fit them all in. So some of those other brochures over time have included the organization ERIE, Areas Restoration Interest Everyone, which in many ways continues throughout efforts he does today. But as an entity, that group was active, I think, late 80s, 90s. A lot of canal cleanup efforts, and then connecting things that have evolved into. There's a sort of thing when it was an attention that you put on the canals before, the state or other larger communities were doing what they're doing today. Part of that was the Wedding of the Waters trip that Mark did in 1991.
Yes. Yeah.
Where rode the entire length of the canal on a tugboat dressed in period costume from Clinton's Ditch era.
Wow.
Very interesting. There's the whole Wedding of the Waters carrying a barrel of water from one end to the other. YouTube video on that. An interesting thing Mark's done. Adirondack 46er. A lot of the things he did as recreation therapist, and then so many different things involved in his very active in home church and today Trailworks and whatever other thing. So here's one of the other great Lions Chamber of Commerce. One of the interesting things that goes right along with that thing that's differentiating about Mark as being a cheerleader is he has the ability to not hang on too long to something for the sake of doing it. He's able to sense where there's the next need. So sometimes you think of being able to ride the tide or carry the breeze as being something that makes you lightweight. Don't do that. Well, there's something greater than that though too. Maybe for Mark, there's a pull towards that. It's not drifting aimlessly, but there's a pull towards figuring out something next. So he's able to move on to the next thing. So what I want to close on saying is pay attention to what's next, because retirement's only getting busier from what.
That's true.
I do want to tell you that Seth is a giant. Seth and Jessica are giants in their own right. And we are so happy to have both of you here. I'm asking Carol, I can't see you. Where are you? There you are at the end. You moved. I was looking for you to see you. And Carol, come over on this side. Carol works very closely with Mark on the trail home. And she has seen so many wonderful things occur. I mean, we're talking people changing their lives. Well,
Well, I had to write in the paper because Mark is so close to my heart, and I would be here forever. He said he has to go to a wedding.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
So anyway, that's why I had to do it this way, but this will be very quick. Anyway, I normally like to talk from the heart, but I put down paper as I said. I said I met Mark through, he wears many hats, but I want us all today about the work of this Trail of Hope. I met Mark, as many of you may know, after the passing of my husband. I was looking for something to fill my time and give me a purpose. I was taking my new bike down the trail, and Mark had seen me there, and he saw that I had too many weeds, too little time on my shirt. He thought, he said maybe I'd get her involved, and I've been involved with her ever since that time. And he said, through Mark, I've met so many wonderful people, I can't begin to tell you, and he's taught me to stretch my wings, and also his creation of the gardens made a place for people to gather through visiting or volunteering. We have nursing homes, people with disabilities, mothers with strollers, and so many other people who come to experience the beauty and peacefulness of the gardens. We have groups of volunteers from around the country. They help me with a wonderful feeling of helping others and talking about having something like that in their community. We have worked with people from rehab and corrections and children from the LEAD program. One woman was 90 in a nursing home and said the gardens have changed her life, given her a purpose. Her income is limited, but she still gave us $20, which we were able to use to buy 400 packages of seeds, and also she makes candles of hope to sell to make money for the trail. If she can do that, what could the rest of us do with what we have? Mark's time also spending subbing at the school and in the gardens has meant so much to so many children who have such sad home lives. Many do not have a father, and Mark teaches them skills of the trail which makes them feel cared about and to feel good about themselves and doing things to help others. I have never seen anyone work so tirelessly for others. He has been physically hurting so many times, he's so very tired, but he keeps on going without one complaint. His whole life is about helping others and never looks for any recognition for himself. And these are some poems that kind of reminded me of Mark that I wanted to express here. We won't always know whose lives we touched and made better for having cared, because actions sometimes have unforeseen ramifications. What's important is that you do care and you act. Charlotte Lunsford. Another, dare to dream, but even more importantly, dare to put action behind your dreams. Josh Hines. Another one is hope that gives life meaning, and hope is based on prospect of being able one day to turn the actual world into a possible one that looks better. Francois Jacob. Another one, at times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who we have lighted the flames in us. Albert Schweitzer. Another, each of us can look back upon someone who made a great difference in our lives, someone whose wisdom or simple acts of experience made an impression upon us, and all likelihood it was someone who sought to no recognition for the deed other than the joy of knowing that by their hand another's life had been better. Stephen Wolfe. This to me is Mark. He seeks no gain for himself, but to live his life for others, really giving all his time and efforts to make their lives better and to give them hope. The best way that we can honor Mark is to follow his example. Yes, and the words of Mark Shearer. Go out and make a difference in your community. You don't need endless time and perfect conditions. Do it now. Do it today. Do it for 20 minutes and watch your heart start beating. Give it to Mark.
One of the remarkable things is that Mark turns us on to other people. And Mark introduced me to Debbie Gittens, who's the Bluebird lady. And she came and did a presentation at the bookstore. And the remarkable thing she told us, one of the things, not bluebirds, but swallows. There are 2 swallows' nests right above me, but there's no swallow poop. Because swallows collect their poop and drop it in the canal. I have no idea how they do that. Anyway, that is through Mark. And we come across wonderful, and like Carol coming and helping us. These are wonderful, wonderful people that Mark introduces us to. What is this? This is for our trail?
Yes. And Anderson helped me make it.
Oh, the mayor is not too pleased with what I found out from Debbie.
Yeah.
Is that bluebirds always come back to where they were, and that means where they were born. So if there are 3 bluebirds that are born to the 2, that's 5. You've got to add another box the following year. She doesn't understand that yet, but I'm going to introduce her to that fact a little at a time so that I don't get any flack. I wanted to ask, is there anyone else who has a story about Mark? It's your turn to come up.
Yeah. Yeah, but we want you to. But the other thing is I want to let you know, it reminded me on this, is that we actually have a purple mark.
A purple mark.
That's next to us. And Mark also reminded us that volunteerism plays an important role in anything that we do. And not only does it help the community, but it's a self-fulfillment in yourself. And because of that, I have such a strong volunteer group, which is the Lock 30 volunteers. And if it wasn't for them, nothing like this would be happening. So I just want to say, thank God we have volunteers, because I know what we're all going to be doing next.